welcome to the closing table with Ayana and Nikki. I'm Nikki. This is Ayana.
Oh my gosh, thanks for joining us on our official first episode. And we're going to get right into it because guess what? The spring market is here. Spring market is right now. And so we are going to do some tips today on how to get your property ready to hit the market. Are you ready? We are.
Yeah. This is my favorite time of year. I absolutely love seeing all these properties hitting the market, but with spring coming, with all the curb appeal of things, it looks so pretty.
It really, really does. It really does. And we're excited about it because even though there's snow still out my window, the market is already hot. So let's get into it.
All right.
First things first is hiring a licensed realtor. Nikki?
So this is definitely something that I think everybody should consider doing. Hiring a licensed realtor is going to really help you figure out what the price of your property is. They're going to help advise you through the process. They're trained to do this. This is what they went to school for. So they're going to help you decide what to do, what projects to do, what not to do, where to put your money, where not to put your money, and help advise you in getting you where you need to be so that when you hit the market, you're ready.
Absolutely. It's so necessary to get professional advice. I think oftentimes we try to go rogue and do things on our own. And not only will that cost you time, but it could also cost you money. To Nikki's point, you could spend a lot of money somewhere and find out you didn't even need to do that. Or you might be pricing yourself out of your market or the area that the home is in. It just isn't worth it.
No, absolutely not. I know a lot of people sometimes think that, oh, I can do this on my own, but this is what we do. We are on social media. When it comes to marketing, we know how to market properties. We know what's going to help sell a property quicker for more money. And we're going to help you decide on pricing things right. And I think that in itself, it's valuable. I mean, you don't want to be chasing the market.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's a great segue into my part, curb appeal. Nikki mentioned it. I just know it's normal. You're driving past the house and you've done that thing of, that's pretty, that's pretty. Oh, or they, as we go into spring, the perennials are back, the annuals are sprouting, the flowers are doing their thing, straight through the snow sometimes, especially in Connecticut. And it just makes all the difference in the world to have a house that makes you want to almost pause and pump the brakes to say, hey, oh, wow, that's on the market. That's pretty. It makes you want to go inside. And it's not just flowers. It's all types of things that you can do to kind of just zhuzh up a little bit and make the house go from winter to spring and make the house pop and make you want to come inside, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think sometimes I don't think people always think about that, making sure that your lawn is cut, that shrubs and bushes have been trimmed, weeds have been pulled. I mean, you don't have to go super crazy, but it should look clean and neat and inviting. And taking a walk around the house and seeing does the house need to be power washed? Does the deck need to be power washed? Does the front door need a little touch up? Does the glass need to be cleaned? Windows, whatever it may be. I mean, anything that can help make it beautify the property a little bit better to make it look inviting, because that's the thing is you're going to want to have your pictures looking good so people will want to come see it.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah,
I think that's important.
Yeah, I'm thinking now that you're talking about it, it's that power wash, that fresh look. You know what I mean? Just that kind of that green moss that can come as we go from winter to spring. It happens quite often. Just getting that fresh look. We're not asking you to get up on a ladder and paint everything, but it's little things that you can do. Touch up painting. You might have rocks or, stones. How do they look? Do they need to be sprayed down? Do you need to maybe put some fresh rocks out, mulch, all the things,
Mulch can do a world of a difference.
and cheap.
Yeah, and it's not that expensive. You're right. I think anything that can help keep it just clean up the property on the outside is definitely going to help it. I think the other thing too is, some people think, oh, that's going to be too much or it's going to be too costly. Well, again, back to point number one, talk to your realtor.
Yep.
They're going to tell you what projects you should do and what not to worry about. But curb appeal is a big thing because when it doesn't look good, nobody's going to want to stop by. Even if the inside looks amazing.
Right. And that's the thing that people do, right? It's just very natural. If you're in the market, you're looking at houses all the time and you're doing those little sneak peek drive-bys. You may or may not be with your realtor, but you're driving by to see how you get that feeling.
Right.
And we all know, if you don't get the feeling, you don't even want to ask your realtor to go inside. So if you're a seller, you're, a potential seller, you want to make sure that when people are driving by, they now want to go the extra step to request a showing.
Absolutely. So the next tip I would suggest is doing a declutter or edit of the house. So we talked about the exterior. Now we want to come inside and decluttering. There's a lot that can be done. It depends on, what I guess not just what your ability is, but what you're willing to do. I think a big thing is going to be taking down any family photos, any sort of clutter in corners or shelves, anything that you can box up because you are moving. So
right.
You're moving.
Right.
Take a lot of those things and get them packed away. If you don't use them, you're planning on moving, get it packed up and then get it out of the way. It's the more space and room that every room it can feel, it's going to help to make someone feel like they can see their own things in the house, or they can see themselves cooking in here. They can see their family and friends hanging out in front of the fireplace or on the couch or in the living room. And that's really going to help. When you walk in and the furniture is oversized and then there's, baskets of pillows or books on the shelves and everything is really jam-packed, it's hard to tell like the size of the room and get a feel for how do I fit my stuff in here.
Absolutely. To your point, Nikki, about just a lot of things and clutter, think about those flat surfaces. Think about your countertops in the kitchen. Think about your bathroom counters there. If you have a lot of stuff collecting, you have a lot of stuff that's exposed, the first thing that a potential buyer sees is there's no storage in this house.
Absolutely.
There's nowhere to put anything, and you have to make or create the illusion that there's storage abound and there's tons of places to put all your knickknacks and your tchotchkes and your air fryers and your toaster ovens and all the things that we have like exposed all the time, your Keurigs and your things. So you just have to think about what can you need to use day to day, and what can be kind of packaged away or boxed away because it's not something that you're using all the time. And if you do need it, Sharpie marker, saying what's in the box or it's in the tote so that you can access it, at a moment's notice. But having everything out on your countertops and your tabletops and your island, it's the first thing people think of is there's nowhere to put anything.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm thinking about my own kitchen right now, and there are so many things that are in those cabinets that I don't use on a regular basis. Now, if we were planning on moving, I could totally picture, okay, half of this stuff can come out and be boxed away, baking stuff that I only use once or twice a year. Mm-hmm. And then those things that are sitting on the counter, that we do use regularly, we can hide them. We'd be able to hide them before a showing, get them out of the way. You want those countertops to look big and clean and clear. And the more space that you can show, that's so important to a buyer because they're going to be thinking about how they utilize that kitchen.
Absolutely. They're going, it's like we go surveying the area.
Okay, do I have room
Right.
to lay out all those platters when I am feeding all my guests? Do I have room to bake cookies at Christmas with the kids? Or everyone's a little different. But spaces, that's important. That's definitely an important thing. But I think, getting things, all those, like you were saying, the tchotchkes and getting that stuff put away. Clutter distracts buyers. It distracts their vision of seeing themselves in that house. And the thing is that you need to think at your property as this isn't your home anymore. You think of it as a business transaction. This is your asset and you're trying to sell it. So you want it to hit the market ready to go. You want people coming through that door, as many as possible, to see this and want it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Really cool.
So moving on to the next one, the next topic would be deep cleaning.
So when you're talking about editing and decluttering, that's one thing. Those are things that, you're just boxing up, maybe throwing out, maybe donating, all those things. Cool. But let's talk about actually cleaning the space, cleaning your home, a deep clean. When you want potential buyers to walk in and feel like the home is fresh. Going for spring, opening up those windows and just making sure that, just the fresh air is coming in, because guess what? We've been, ziplock tight, all winter long. And from, not just odors, but just the freshness is just, it's that winter stale, I'll call it.
Yeah.
So it's something that you can think about doing, whether you're going to take on the task yourself and do a deep clean, top to bottom, your floors, your countertops, your cabinets, your tubs and your sinks and all those things, doing a super deep clean. You could also consider hiring a company, local, you might know a friend of a friend, back to your licensed realtor. I'm sure they have a list to give you. If you're just like, I'm overwhelmed, I have the kids, whatever the case may be, it's just too much going on. But it would behoove you, after you do all the editing and the declutter, is to bring, someone in, or yourself, maybe bring over a girlfriend and, maybe have some snacks. And
some wine and pizza.
Right. Offer her that to help me come clean this house and get it ready, call your parents up and we're getting the house ready and we really want to do a deep clean. And if you can't do that, hiring somebody it's really ideal, right?
Yeah. It's the deep clean conversation, I feel like, is one that's not always a fun one to talk about but you have to think about this. If you were a buyer coming into a house and you're thinking about, okay, is this the right property for me? And you walk in and you see soap scum in the tub, or mold growing around the kitchen sink, or,
Right.
Or a very, very dirty oven. Or even a dirty a dirty refrigerator.
Yeah.
It may not seem like this is that big of a deal, but it is. I hate to say it. Nobody wants to go in and be like, oh my gosh, this is gross. They want to be able to see themselves moving in there. Right. And listen, we're all different. I hate cleaning. I like cleaning, but I don't do it. I'm not gonna lie. I now hire somebody to come clean the house.
In a hot minute, we would, right? We're busy people. Yeah.
It's being so busy. It's like the house needs to be clean, but there's certain things that I do love. For some reason, I love cleaning the kitchen, and me, like, that's where I'm cooking. I want to do that. But again, the bathrooms, the around the windows, like, give them a quick. And windows are, I feel like windows are a once or twice a year thing, unless you've got dogs licking the windows and and kids putting fingerprints on it, or but it's something important. So I think whether somebody has the time to do it themselves, or like you said, hire somebody to come in and have it be that they only focus on kitchen, bathrooms, and do that deep clean. You can probably find somebody to come in and do that for a couple $100.
Exactly.
So that's not bad.
It isn't. It's a small price to pay for the outcome. And
Absolutely.
talking about just making sure that things are just, it's a deep clean. You don't need a deep clean in your house every day.
No.
But bringing somebody in, or you doing it yourself, and just making sure that you're getting into the nooks and crannies. You're cleaning those dog bed pillows.
Oh, you're hitting the nail on the head.
Yes, I get it. We have pets and things like that. But the odors and the smells that you almost become accustomed to when you live in the space, when someone new comes in, it's the first thing that they smell. So you don't want that to be the difference between getting your house sold and people leaving and saying, you know what, it was cute, but I couldn't get over the smell.
I can't get, and that is a big contender.
It is.
So if ask your realtor, does it smell like pets in here? If you have carpet, get them shampooed.
Yeah.
If you like you were saying, the dog beds, wash the dog beds. Mm-hmm. Wash anything that's got the fabric. Open those windows up. Mm-hmm. You don't. The last thing you want is your house to be the stinky pet smelling house.
And all these things seem so small, but when you put them all together, it
adds up.
It adds up, and you can definitely make or break a sale. So we don't want that for you. Let's talk about paint, Nikki.
Paint and touch-ups.
Yeah.
So paint is not something, I think people immediately think, oh, I don't want to paint my house. I'm not repainting my house. But a fresh coat of paint can go a long way. And it's not super expensive. You can get a gallon of paint. I mean, let's say it's just one room that needs touch up. You can get a gallon of paint for like $50. And if you're not a painter, you can call a friend. I find it very therapeutic. So I'm constantly volunteering myself to paint, especially during this pandemic. It's an out of the house fun day for me. But in all honesty, the taking a room or two that just needs a little freshening up, sometimes that's all it needs is throw a fresh coat of paint up, and it makes a world of a difference. Touching up trim, touching up doors, if they're painted, you get all these nicks on the wall, these dirty spots. Sometimes taking just a magic eraser can be enough to help get rid of some scuff marks, but a fresh coat of paint is always so great. And you definitely want to keep it neutral. For sure.
Absolutely. Sometimes, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, people were doing the accent walls. Mm-hmm. It was something that was kind of cool. You might have that pop of red or that pop of brown. And these days, when you're thinking about selling, you want people to be as neutral as possible, so they, again, can feel like, hey, I can be here and I'm not, because this is what buyers do. They walk through, it's like, $, $, $, more work for me to do, more work for me to do, more work for me to do.
And then it's coming off of the price that they're willing to offer.
Deduction.
Exactly.
We don't want that for you. So when you're thinking about like just little things like touching up that paint or making that accent wall no longer an accent wall, maybe you want to just make the whole room continuous again. And also accent walls makes the illusion of the room to be a bit smaller. And we definitely don't want that. So when you're thinking about painting and touching up, really, again, ask your realtor, because he or she will be able to tell you what's the good color families to stay in, or, should you do this room and not that room? Because, hey, both of us have children, right? Mm-hmm. And the stickers. Let's talk about the stickers. And sometimes when you're not, a professional painter, or or you're a child and you try to take it off, you're making it worse, right?
Oh my gosh. I remember probably about 3 or 4 years ago having to go in with the Goo Gone and a razor blade to get Paw Patrol off the front bedroom windows that I didn't realize that had ended up on there. From the outside, it doesn't look very pretty.
Exactly. Exactly. And there's different tips. And, YouTube is also our friend too. Ask a friend. People all the time,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
all these lists of how do you get Sharpie off the walls. Thank goodness for those magic erasers, like
Oh,
just
yeah.
all the things that have come up on the market that aren't very expensive. But when in doubt, paint.
Yes. Um, the big thing you were saying, like in regards to accent walls, when we all have our own preference in regards to colors, but when you choose colors that are really dark, it makes the room feel small. And that's the thing is, when a buyer comes through the door, you want it to be light and bright, and you want natural light coming in. So you need to make sure you're opening up those all the blinds,
Yeah.
open the curtains. You want as much natural light coming in, especially if they're coming in during the day and lights probably aren't being turned on. You want it to show as much natural light as possible, because not most people aren't going to want to walk in and be like, wow, it's really dark in here.
And we've done that. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
all done that. Walked into a house in the brightest of days outside, but for whatever reason, they have all the drapes closed, or or they have the I have this in my daughter's room, the blackout.
Yeah. Yep.
Take those down. If you're trying to sell, you take those down. We want as much natural light to come in as
Or
possible.
before that showing, you make sure you open those up.
them.
Open those the curtains up, open the blinds up. You want as much natural light coming in that house. But definitely, if you can do it, I absolutely advise painting over those dark colors.
Mhm.
Staying with stuff that's light. Whites, creams, blue, light blues,
Like
light gray, light grays. Yeah.
Light gray, white,
Yes.
ivory, whatever the case may be, so that it's a blank canvas.
That's
Again,
exactly.
we're creating a blank canvas so that they can see themselves and their things in the room.
Exactly. That's what you want. You want them walking through. They fall in love in typically that first 10 seconds of walking in the door. If they walk in and it's dark and it's cluttered, and it smells funny, and they're tripping over things, it's going to be a turnoff. And even though what they're doing is, as they're continuing to walk through the house, they are trying to talk themselves into it. There's no point in them going any further because they've already made the decision.
Yeah.
So
that's so clear. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. So paint. If you can, paint. Or at least the main living area, I feel like try to have that area be the area gets the fresh coat of paint, or gets the lighter colored walls.
Right.
People don't, if there's bedrooms that need to be painted, that's not always as big of a deal. But that main living area, I mean, especially if you get high ceilings and lots to paint, it can be a daunting task, and people get overwhelmed by that thought.
Absolutely.
So the next tip is in regards to staging and photography.
Okay, so you've done all those things that we've shared, and now it's important to make sure that the house looks ready to show. And the first thing that people, when you're scrolling through whatever app at night, it's the photos that gets people to want to stop by or ask their realtor to schedule a showing. You want those photographs to be well done. We have horror stories. I could talk to you probably for the next half hour of pictures that I have seen posted that I don't know how, I don't know why no one stopped them, but it's just cluttered, dark pictures. You can tell it was done on not the newest of phones. It's just a lot. And it's important, if you're not going to hire a professional, that you ask your realtor, is that part of the package? Do you know anyone? can you come over and do in the listing appointment to show what should be in these pictures, what should not be in the pictures. And then there's also value added thing called staging to just
Absolutely.
make sure, if your home is empty, if you're not living there, it's a different conversation than when you are living there, and to work around your pieces and maybe bring in some new pieces, take out some of your pieces to make sure that everything looks good enough to, to show in a photograph, right?
Yeah, you're right. What works for your family and you made work in your space may not be the same furniture that really shows off the house. I can tell you in our living room, we have a huge sectional because when we have family over, we want everybody to be cozy and comfortable on the couch, but that thing is massive. And is it the greatest piece of furniture for the space? No, if we were going to be selling, I'd be like, get that thing out of here. Let's get some staging in, but it's, it doesn't, if somebody's living in the house, it doesn't always have to be, that full amounts of furniture need to come in. Maybe it's just artwork. Maybe it's, you don't use your dining room and somebody just comes in and like sets the table, just table settings, or, throw pillows on the couch, or maybe some really pretty fur blankets and, or a nice little, tray for the coffee table with some candles and some fun accessories. But something that's going to bring in a little bit of color, it's just going to make the space look pretty. And it's going to show really well in the pictures. The other thing I think a lot of times, and I'm sure you've noticed this as well in some of the pictures, when beds aren't made, laundry's left out.
Okay.
Toothbrushes, toothpaste, hairbrushes,
blow dryers,
curling irons,
food out,
the toilet seats up.
Yes, the food.
Put it away, hide it. Before those pictures get taken, whether you're doing it yourself or you've hired a professional or your realtor's hired a professional, that house should be spick and span looking good. Hide the clutter.
Do whatever you have to do.
Because when you think about it, here's the size of your phone. You're looking on these apps, these pictures are this big.
Yes.
The last thing you want to see is the majority of that picture being filled with clutter, or it needs to entice the buyer to say, oh my gosh, this looks really cute. It might be on the small side based on square footage. We need to check this out.
Exactly.
You want buyers to say, I have to see this house. I need to see this house.
The photos do that. I'm proud.
Absolutely.
The photos will do that. I mean, I'm talking about people have had us see the most. You get there and you're like, oh, but the photos were awesome.
You know what? It's funny because photos can go both ways. You can see these pictures online and you're like, wow, the floors look great. Oh my gosh, they staged it. This place looks spick and span. And you get there and you're like, wow, they had a great photographer. Or the other way around where, there's blurry pictures, or, they've taken them at really weird angles, or there's too far in the room and you're only seeing a part of it.
Right.
And you're like, and you're begging your buyer, please trust me. Let's just go look at it. It's checking off all the other boxes of what you need. Yeah. And you get there and you're like, okay, clearly they didn't have a good photographer, or they took these pictures themselves, but what a great house. They're missing out on so many buyers coming through this door because they didn't take good pictures. Or didn't take enough.
Right? Sometimes it's just the front of the house. Well, somebody could have gotten that by driving by, just making sure there's enough pictures to really give people, especially now during the pandemic, you want to give them a really good snapshot of the house, give them basically a virtual tour of the house in pictures, so that they're over the moon excited to come see it. You don't want them to, be out seeing stuff that just doesn't make sense. So you want to be at the top of the list of, because people are being very selective about showings these days.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, if you want to be at the top of that, of that buyer's list, the best thing you can do is entice them by having well put together pictures.
Absolutely.
So,
So now
yeah.
on to our last tip, pricing and timing.
Time is everything.
Oh, yes. Listen, in regards to pricing, I know we all love the house we live in. We think that because of all this hard work and um, projects we've done to update it, and we think our house is valued at something probably much higher than what it actually is. Listen, the market can change. Last year, it could be one price. This year, it's something else. Next year, it could change again. It doesn't always happen that way, but the important thing is to not price it too high or too low, because you're missing out. But when you price a property too high, what ends up happening is you're chasing the market. People are going to realize if the realtor's doing their job, then they should be able to tell you, yes, this house is priced right. It's where it should be. Or they really got this overpriced. And what ends up happening is a lot of times buyers say, you know what, let's wait on that. They're going to have to drop the price. We'll wait until they drop the price and then we'll come back. That's not smart. That's not smart at all, because the longer you sit on the market, what ends up happening, you're now chasing after price reductions. But also when you sit on the market, more than 30, 60 days, the buyers start going, what's wrong with it?
What's wrong? Yeah.
What happened? Why isn't anybody putting an offer in on it?
Absolutely. The listing can go stale and go cold very, very quickly. And buyers are fickle. And what you don't want to happen is that everybody's looking for the thing that pops up that says new listing. Everybody wants the thing that's hot, straight off the assembly line hot. And so as your house sits, everyone now has questions. Now you're having to explain why it's been sitting so long. And it's supply and demand. Everybody wants what everybody else wants, if that makes any sense. So if it's been sitting there so long, everybody else didn't want it, they're not going to want it either. It's just, it's the law of attraction. So if your house has been sitting there forever, they're thinking to themselves, they don't want it, I don't want it either.
Something's got to be wrong with it. Why wouldn't somebody have already snatched this up? Yeah. So that's what, and again, this is why taking all these steps that we're talking about is so important, because when you do hit the market, timing wise, you want to be ready to go. You want to look good. You want to be decluttered. You want to have that deep clean. You want to have curb appeal. You want those pictures to be fantastic. And then you want to make sure that you're priced right. You want to make sure you're priced right. And then when you hit that market, you should have, if everything else is lined up, then you should have some activity.
Absolutely. And then there's the timing piece of it. Your realtor would be able to tell you when's the time to launch, when's the time to hit the market. And, if they're any good, the realtor, they'll also give you time to get the things done that we just discussed.
Right? They're going to help you.
They're going to help you time it out, because if you want to go live at by a certain time and really, really jump on this spring market, they're going to give you, we've discussed that you need to do some decluttering. Did you get that storage unit? They'll stay on you, about, getting the things done. Did you call the painter that we talked about, things of that nature, so that when it's time to go live, the timing is correct. I'm talking about
you're ready to go. Yeah.
You're ready to go. You're ready to go. There's nothing to talk about. The photographs will be taken this date, so on and so forth, so that the timing is correct for you to get the maximum amount of funds from your sale. And it could even be down to the timing of the time of week that you list. We are finding
the day as well.
The day that that things go live. When are people most on social media? When are people mostly, want to see, houses? Again, with the pandemic, gone are the days where people are out just on Saturdays and Sundays, right? Oh, yeah. This is, people are taking clients out for showings early in the morning on a Tuesday. Because
Well, and you know, that's because, I mean, this market has been, everything is moving so fast.
Yeah.
You have to be on top of it. So you're not planning your weekend of showings all day Saturday. No, you're like, it hit the market today. Hey, realtor, let's go.
yes, we're going to see it. We can't wait because, you know,
Yeah,
something goes live on Tuesday and you're trying to wait until Sunday morning to
it's
go
gonna be
see it.
gone.
It would be gone by then.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Wow. Great tips, right?
absolutely.
I think so. I think so.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So we're going to segue into a segment that we mentioned last time that we'll have for you every time. And please reach out to us with your questions. So now it's time for Ask a Realtor.
You know.
So I will be asking Nikki, who is a realtor, a question that came in from, it's a two-parter, came in from Colby H. From New Britain. And he asked, what's the minimum I'd have to put down for an FHA loan? And the second part is, how do I know how much I will be approved for?
Okay, so Colby, so I'm going to start with the second part to start off. So how you know what you're actually approved for, what you qualify for. A realtor is not going to be able to tell you that. And I wouldn't suggest trying to wing it on your own because there's so many factors that play into this. It's important that you reach out to a bank or a mortgage broker. And if you don't know someone or know where to start, you can ask a realtor. Typically, you know, we all have other, you know, we have loan officers that we work pretty closely with, and usually we know a handful of them, and we can give you names and numbers to point you in the right direction. But the best thing to do is to sit down and talk with either your bank or with a loan officer, and you're going to share with them all of your information. So you're going to be giving them your tax returns and your social security number, and they're going to run credit and they're going to look at all of your debt, your income, everything. And that is going to play a role and help you figure out exactly what you are approved for. Now, what you're approved for versus what you can afford are two very different things. So that is something, just because you're approved for, you know, 350,000, it doesn't mean that that mortgage payment every month is what's going to be comfortable for you. Right. And that is something that your loan officer will be able to talk with you a little bit more about. Is they might say, hey, you're approved for X number of dollars, but based on what your bills are every month, you know, okay, you said I'm really going to be more comfortable with, you know, a $2,000 mortgage. Okay, well, what you're approved for is a lot higher than that. For a $2,000 mortgage, you're really looking more along the lines of X number of dollars. This is your sweet spot of where you could be looking for properties. Stay at 300 and below, whatever it may be. But they're going to give you that. They're going to really give you those ideas of what you qualify for. And then what they'll do is they'll provide you with a letter, either a pre-qualification or a pre-approval letter. And that is what you will submit when you actually put an offer in on a property. Now, do you want to touch base in regards to the FHA part of the question, or do you want me to keep going?
No, all good things. And it also depends too, you know, when they're factoring in that monthly mortgage taxes.
Absolutely.
Which change from town to town, wherever you are, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that factors in. And I think people forget about that piece about, you know, okay, the mortgage payment. Well, what does the mortgage payment consist of? What's held in escrow every month to make sure that you're good to go come tax time? It's being held, you know, in the cloud almost, so that when it's time to pay those taxes, it's done for you.
Absolutely. And on a little side note, since we are here in Windsor, and this is airing on Win TV,
right?
Just to let our Windsor residents know, here in Windsor, we do pay taxes only once a year. Right, the majority of the state, and I think there may be one other town, and I'm not positive, it's either one other town or every other town in Connecticut pays twice a year. And that's a big difference when it comes time for closing.
Yes.
So when you're purchasing a house, and especially if you're buying in Windsor, you're paying at closing a full year of taxes. Whereas other surrounding towns, you're only going to pay a half a year.
Half of that. Yep.
And that makes a big difference. That's something that a lot of people don't know until, crunch time. Oh, I didn't realize I was paying that much.
Right. That's how much I have to bring to closing. Yikes. Exactly.
Absolutely. Exactly.
So in regards to FHA, if you're going FHA, it's 3.5% is what that is. And there's so many different loans. Again, as Nikki said, we don't like to get into the weeds. We are not lenders. I will be quick, fast, and in a hurry. Any of my clients to say, call these people.
Absolutely.
Let me pass you off to somebody that this is what they do, because everybody's situation is different. You may go into this situation thinking that that's how you're going to, fund this loan, and they may give you some information and you realize you need to go another way. It happens.
Or even that a different type of loan is a smarter, better decision based on your credit score or what you're capable of putting down for a down payment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so we definitely want to make sure that people understand that we are realtors. We do have access to mortgage brokers and loan officers, people who do this, for a living every day. But we can give you broad stroke information about financing, but we really want you to get that true hard numbers information from people who do this and have access, because again, confidentiality, they will have access to your financials, not us.
Absolutely.
Right. So thank you very much, Colby, for the first Ask a Realtor. We appreciate it.
Excellent. So if anyone has any questions that they would like to ask us, please reach out through email, check our website. You can find out how to reach us and send in your questions. Moving on real quick, I did want to give a quick pulse on the market, on the Windsor market. It is March 1st, 2021, and I will tell you that this market is crazy.
It's hot.
It is hot. It is hot, and there's very low inventory. So I can tell you that today there are 9 active properties in Windsor. That is not a lot to choose from. We're used to seeing well over 100, on a regular everyday basis prior to the pandemic. So this has been, this is pretty low. There's slim pickings, I have to say. But the thing is that this is a seller's market. If you're thinking about selling, this is a great time. There are so many buyers because of low interest rates. There are so many buyers that are still looking to find their forever home. And if you are thinking about it, now's the time. Things are moving like hotcakes.
They really are. They really, really are. And yeah, when there's low inventory, little to no inventory, and 9 in Windsor, that's just, crazy right now. Crazy. This is the time, if you thought about it at all, do these steps, which I'm going to recap for you right now. And it give you better placing and placement to be a step above the rest, so that people want to come in and check you out. So to recap, number 1, hire a licensed realtor. Number 2, check your exterior and your curb appeal. How is that looking? Are you decluttering and editing? That's number 3. Number 4, deep clean the house. Number 5, painting and touch up. Number 6, are you photo shoot fresh? Are you ready to go? Are you staged? And last but not least, pricing and timing, which will be guided, all of this will be guided by number 1, hiring a licensed realtor.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for closing this deal with us today. Meet us next month at the closing table to discuss staging your house for the market with interior designer, stager, and owner of Personal Space, Elizabeth Vaca Ranieri.
Yay! See you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.